Great day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Subramaniam Maslamani. I am a Tamil. Today, my topic is Mahinda Rajapaksa, a Sikh man and his silly men of South Asia. Today's topic is about Mahinda Rajapaksa and his shameless men of Sri Lanka. In the last 60 years, there were three men who ruined this nation of Sri Lanka, namely SWRD Bandaranaike, J.R. Jayawardena, and the worst of all, Mahinda Percy Rajapaksa. Mahinda Rajapaksa grew with violence and criminality, and that is his family rose to power. This man is suffering from childhood traumas that haunt all his life. He has become a schizophrenic psychopath and relishes the suffering of people. His son, Namal Rajapaksa, is following the path of Mahinda Rajapaksa, who followed the same path of his father, D.A. Rajapaksa. There are three Rajapaksas. Because he grew up in a dysfunctional family, where violence and punishment were the norm, all he knows is violence and punishment. It's the only way to deal with conflicts and contradictions. He became a revengeful man when there is no subordination and agreement with him. There is only one way, and that is his way. I repeat, there is only one way, and that is his way. He has to be removed along with three others before any peace can return to this island. Calling the United Nations a failed organization and brushing aside a report by United Nations as irrelevant and ridiculing renowned diplomats as paid agents of LTTE tells how the Tamils were treated and would have been treated in Sri Lanka. Imagine the plight of Tamils under him as a powerless people. He is the reincarnation of Ivan the Terrible, who is prone to episodic outbreak of mental illness. On the other hand, we Tamils have a weakness. We do not stand up for our birthrights. We easily succumb to manipulation. Maybe it's in our nature to trust too much, or we trust without responsibility and promise of performance. The biggest challenge with Tamil people is that there are no leaders. All we have are lame ducks, lame brains, and laggards. The sense of brotherhood is totally absent, and we will kill our own people. Killing does not solve problems, it exacerbates. We are nervous, and behave like second class subjects. We see that in our behavior, including myself. We must build up a strong communal unity. Since we were subjugated and persecuted for a long time, we behave like second class subjects. But we are slowly coming out of that mindset. That is good news. Talking about Sri Lanka, in 60 years since independence and freedom, the people have drifted in the wrong direction, culminating in the creation of a socially and morally sick society. Mahinda Rajapaksa is no different. He is simply reflecting and representing a society that is almost gone back to nature. In 60 years since independence and freedom, Sri Lankan people have drifted in the wrong direction, culminating in the creation of a sick society, and have elected sick people to places of power and responsibility. Mahinda Rajapaksa crystallizes the composite mindset of the whole nation. He is the right man in the right place at the right time. He is the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time. That is all to it. He is the manifestation of a racially and fanatical people. Mahinda Rajapaksa's life and pathway to power is a road less traveled by civic-minded people. And his path is dotted with tombstones of people who contested him. He has a simple formula: just kill anyone on his path. In Sri Lanka, one could get away with murder if you have money, power, and connections to Rajapaksas. Rajapaksa is not alone. It is inconceivable how he rose to power despite his criminal record. The only possible reason could be that the whole population has this criminal mindset, and murders are just part of a violent spectrum. Since the law enforcement and the government officials are either bought with money and power or are feared of being killed, it was easy for him to manipulate power. That means there is no civil society, and the region of Sri Lanka is still a kind of back behind in civil administration. That strong prevails over the weak. There's no social contract that binds all people under one law. If there is any movement towards civil society, the credit goes to the Tamil diaspora, whom Rajapaksa vainly tried to divide and failed miserably. And the same Tamil diaspora flexing muscle everywhere inside and outside the legislatures in very many countries. Mahinda Rajapaksa confused successful Tamil diaspora with the people who operate Mickey Mouse outfits who could not succeed in America and Europe. Sri Lanka as a nation woke up on the wrong side of the bed one morning in 4th February 1948. By the year 1956, SWR Bandaranaike initiated the first civil unrest that concluded in a civil war that lasted 26 years. Because the majority singles think they suffered under the foreign rule, which they brought it on themselves by inviting the Portuguese to rescue them from each other. The Tamils fared well under the British, not because the British favored them, but they were simply very industrious people. Tamils continued to fare well despite the singles majority government took away their freedom and human rights. As recently as now, they have moved around the world and have established very successfully. That is the proof that the British did not favor them. They see life as a gift of generations and work to maintain it. In the last 60 years, we have the singles. What have the singles done to themselves? They have made a society that's imbued in racism, fanaticism, and state terrorism. Believe me, there's a large percentage of thugs in the military who are ready and willing to subjugate Tamils. If any Tamil or single is called me wrong, fine. What will you call the current state terrorist in power? There is more than ample evidence of a society that simply did not want to evolve out of their barbaric state. Over the last 60 years, the country has seen violence reported every 3 to 5 years, and the government was in the center of it. The troubles were always instigated, propagated, and promoted by the government. The state and the institutions were turned into anti-Tamil machinery, and it was easy for the people to get away with crime and murder. It is the successive governments of Sri Lanka that promote racism, fanaticism, and lately and recently state terrorism. The Mahasangha, the fanatic arm of the Sri Lankan single, is the hidden culprit. The proof is ample. As late as July 23rd, 2011, that was last month, the military is involved in election-related violence. What has the military got to do with civil administration? No. It is the government that has transformed the military into an organized gang with command and control structure to terrorize Tamil people. There is no better proof than the UN report and the Channel 4 videos. What Sri Lanka needs is a complete cleanup. The military and the police and the judiciary are all converted into state-run criminal organizations. The law enforcement judiciary, the hallmark of modern democracy, has been turned to no evidence and not guilty institution. Remember, no evidence and not guilty institutions. How can any ordinary Tamil go and complain about an atrocity when the atrocity is committed by the same organization? Mahinda Rajapaksa says he will investigate war crimes and other atrocities. How can he investigate his own crimes? I hope you see the point. The lawmaker, the law enforcer, the defendant, the plaintiff, the courts, the judge, the jury are all one and one person. Either he is a lunatic or a maniac or both. How can there be justice when the criminal is the judge and the jury? The Sri Lankan people do not understand this because they have gone back to nature, where might is right and the might is the right. Even if the people want to do something, they cannot, for the thugs and the gangs are the military armed to teeth, and there is nothing people can do. They have to simply live in what they created. What Mahinda Rajapaksa and his predecessors have done, they have created a nation of lawlessness, servitude, and poverty. Poverty is the biggest and narcissistic of all social diseases. Instead of addressing those fundamental issues that rip the social fabric, these leaders were promoting the breakup of civil society. Mahinda Rajapaksa has virtually taken over the finance ministry, judiciary, and armed forces. This gives him the latitude to print money, pay the gangs and gangsters, and the judiciary to exonerate those brought before justice. Basically, he is the plaintiff and defendant, judge, and the jury. All things under his control. He needs the gang and the law enforcement to put down any trouble that may arise as a result of his criminal behavior. When he prints money, he does not back it up with either gold or goods. It's fake and fiat money, which has no intrinsic value. There's nothing produced locally to back up the money. Hard currencies are backed by exports and foreign employment. But in the international market, the exchange rates are not favorable to him. He has a huge public service with about 250,000 troops in the field and the supporting service sucking up available goods. The ordinary citizen has very little purchasing power. He wants diaspora Tamils to invest money. But with military breathing down at people, who will invest? Not me. Either he is a con artist or has no control over what is happening in the ground. He joins the list of world notorious forgers, swindlers, robbers, impostors, as well as worst criminals in the history of mankind. Besides, he has a group of university-educated doctorates and professors to advise on matters of international importance. He knows when to plead poverty and when to beg for clemency. His latest gimmick is issuing dollar-denominated bonds to raise badly needed foreign exchange. But when a sucker is born every minute, why not try anything? What is on trial in Sri Lanka is not people, but the basic human character of trust. When trust is prostituted, the whole society will descend to anarchy and lawlessness. Trust is the sacred responsibility backed by hard choices, discipline, honesty, and integrity. These are the bedrock of humanness. From this trust emanates peace and freedom, the prerequisite for prosperity. When we integrate great qualities into our socio-economic system, we have stable societies. The Sinhalese leaders chose otherwise and resorted to discrimination and racial policies that led the nation into precipitous valley. The total nation has become imbued in racism, fanaticism, and terrorism, terrorizing innocent people, asking for their basic human rights, and then calling the terrorized as terrorists is a willful vilification. When criminals and murderers get elected to by devious means, and the thugs are made into law enforcement and military, there is nothing people can do except regret for their foolish choices when the nation was decent and democratic. The problem on the Tamil side is no different. We have our own criminals to deal with. These criminals have decimated our so-called leaders. We Tamils are still in the dark days where they live in selfish self-preservation mode. We have not graduated into an organized society with various safety means and mechanisms. The Europeans have successfully reformed and transformed their people into citizens in a sovereign state with institutions to safeguard and protect people from them. To protect them. Knowing what men they are, they themselves have crafted covenants that protect people from them. That was a noble deed indeed. That was a noble indeed. To know their weaknesses and enshrine appropriate statutes to safeguard people from the animal nature of man. There is no one person called a supreme citizen. All are supreme under one constitution. You will see this more so in USA than in Europe. The president is not above the law. So are the citizens. Everyone follows the written supreme law called the Constitution. People to understand that they have to behave appropriately in their own self-interest. The key to any society is to raise the awareness of the people to a much higher level whereby they feel that together we are better off. The union offers more than what they could have done on their own. How far Sri Lanka is in this respect? When a criminal murder has risen to power, along with his gangsters, is nothing a willing citizen can do. It is better to be prudent and preserve than protest and perish. Sri Lanka has to turn around 180 degrees and pursue a different path, a path that will make people responsible citizens. Racism, fanaticism, terrorism will never bring about peace and prosperity at home. We said that the single is in 1960s. I mean 1960s. And we keep telling them, but they think calling Tamils as terrorists will make them proud. A man is a freedom fighter when he is attempting to safeguard his life and property, and a terrorist when he encroaches another man's freedom and prosperity. But when that encroacher is armed to his teeth, what can an unmanned innocent citizen do? If all leaders of the world stand up for what is right, then who should win? Then we will have a decent world to live. Until such time, I will purchase a small tract of land and become my own nation and mind my own business. Switzerland and Tamil Jaffna are two such societies. We mind our own business. I am a proud Tamil, for my culture has given me the means to be my own man. That character embedded in my hereditary, no man can take it away from me. At this very critical moment, what we need is the momentum of a united Tamil force. Our so-called leaders are not leaders. They live in the past, where the king was the king and people were mere subjects. The world has changed, but they still think they are valuable to the people. The job of the leader is to keep the people united and show them by example how to lead themselves. Democracy is very difficult, but an equitable system. It needs constant vigilance and vigorous defense. No one should be no one should be fearful of standing up for what is right. There is no force bigger than the moral standing. That is all, folks, for this week. As we always requested, Tamil 70 million worldwide, unite, stay together, work hard, and never ever give up. The best is yet to come, and we are winning. My name is Subramani Maslamani, a world-class Tamil powered by convictions, commitments, and conscience.